It's Wednesday. My show is Clear Direction, and my name is Mary Lee McRoberts, and I'm so happy you joined me today. I just love this. I just am so excited to get to have that there's a television channel, an online TV channel that allows people to share wisdom, which is what the name of it is. So anyway, as you can tell, my show's never scripted. I'm a psychic medium and I'm a teacher, energy medicine practitioner. So I work in that world of woo-woo, right? So I just receive the information and this is the way this show goes. So I hope that you'll join us today and you can turn your computer on. Do I sound like oh my God, my age? Turn your computer on. You can use your iPhone or your iPad or whatever it is you use and connect into sharewisdom.tv and you can join the show. So I give mini readings and I teach and I answer questions. And today, and if you want to know more about me, you can go to my website, maryleemcroberts.com, and read all about me there. So one of the things I do, because some people are a little bit shy about being on the camera, is I invite people to email me questions that they have, and I'll also read the questions on air. If you want to connect in live with us today, you can do that. Just go to sharewisdom.tv and you can say, I don't want to be on camera and I'll be voice only. We're happy to do that. However it's comfortable for you is what we want to do. So today's show, it's interesting. It makes me I can feel a little bit of anxiety, and it's not mine because I don't have anxiety about this. It's a little bit about what I'm going to talk about. So there's always a subject, and but your question doesn't have to have anything to do with the subject. You can call about whatever you want to, but there is usually a topic or a subject. And today I want to talk about what the law of attraction really is from my perspective, and see if I can help you use that law of attraction to change your life, right? So I'm going to talk about, so let me just tell you, so a lot of you who are listening or watching this show know what the law of attraction is, but I see people every single day in my practice who don't have any idea. So literally it's about aligning your vibration in a way that you attract what it is that you want to have in your life, and you attract based on your own vibration. So it's like a magnet, will attract the metal, the magnetic. I'm not a scientist, you guys, so you can tell that. Anyway, so there's the magnet and there's the metal, and boom, it goes together, right? So we are like that. We're vibrational beings, and what we put in our energy field, it's sort of like the speed that your engine is running, kind of. It's not speed, but it's sort of like that. It's like when your engine is running, whatever vibration that you are at that time is what you will attract. So we're like radio stations, and I've talked about this lots of times before, but literally whatever we tune into is what we attract, and it happens. It can happen very slowly. It can happen really quickly. It's an ability that most of us have to learn how to do, right? It's just the same as, back in the old days when, the cup half empty, the cup half full, sort of. It's what you focus on is what you see in your life experience. So you attract what you want. What happens to most of us is that fear gets in the way. So we can say, oh, I want money. But that's coming I want money is coming from a place of, I don't have money and I want money, so how can I get money, right? So fear's in the way of it. So it's teaching ourselves a different way to be. And so it's not easy. I mean, some people, boom, boom, right? But that's not, 99% of us don't do it that way. It's practice and learning how it works, and then being vigilant about it. So I want to talk about something now that is going to, because this has to do with the law of attraction, and this has nothing to do with politics. So I'm going to say it at the get-go here. I want to give you an example of we create our own reality by the place that we are, the energy that we hold, the belief system that we have, where we are inside. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. So they, around the country this last Saturday, they had women's marches. Again, I want to say this has nothing to do with politics at all. There were women's marches. So I've never marched for anything ever. I've never done that in my whole life, right? I've known lots of people who've done things like that, but I just don't. My focus is on loving and helping people heal, and I stay out of that whole arena. I don't do that. So I received information that was like, this is important for you to go and see this. And again, it doesn't have anything to do about my experience with that doesn't have anything to do with politics, right? So this is what I did. I live in the Seattle area. And so I went downtown because there was a march. And I went downtown and parked and thought, I'll just go to the Pike Place Market, and then maybe what I'll do is I'll just take a look and see what this all looks like. And so I walked up and I watched, and my experience wasn't what I think they showed necessarily on television. So my belief is that we create change, we create the life we want to have by expanding what we want. So what I want is love and family and cooperation and all of us supporting each other. That's what I want. I don't, that's just, I want people to heal themselves and their lives. And, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the whole world of love, right? That's my passion. So for me to go into an environment that I didn't know exactly what was going to be there, but I knew it was important for me to be there. But when I went, my energy was all about love. And I just watched, and what I experienced and saw was just that. It was an amazing day. I have to tell you, so it doesn't have, this could have been a whole group of people for some other experience. Totally. I'm not explaining this very well to you today because I want not to have the political part of it. It would be just like if you went to a great big family gathering of some kind. It didn't have anything to do with politics, right? This just happened to be put together because of that venue. But my experience was grandmothers and mothers and kids and grandkids and husbands and brothers, and they were all there together. I didn't see other stuff like what you might have seen on the news. That was not my experience. My experience was people just like if you were all a neighborhood and you had a neighborhood party once a year and everybody got together, you would have all different kinds of people there, but everybody, it was like families. It was just an incredible experience. It was just full of love. If I would have come into that, say I was a political person and I had a viewpoint and I went down there, and this isn't to negate anybody, I'm just kind of trying to explain the law of attraction. If I was really angry about the election or whatever, if I was on that side of the fence, then my experience would have been different might have been different because I might have had an angry sign, and then I would have attracted the other people who were really angry, and that would have been my experience that day. The vibration and the law of attraction would have connected me to something completely different. I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong here. I'm trying to give you the example of we create our own reality, and other things might have been going on around me, but I didn't see any of them. So there can be a part of a person saying, "Well, what's the matter with you?" That's just selective. It is kind of. That's how the law of attraction works. You decide the experience that you want to have, and you create that energy and I'll tell you how to do that in a second, like the energy. You hold that energy, and then your experience plays out like that. So if somebody really, like if we're really afraid of something, like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to walk to the car in the dark and, things could happen. And I just, then you imagine, and then your energy literally lights you up to experiences like that. We all know those things, I think, and have had experiences. Oh my gosh, I'm afraid I'm gonna not pass this test. I get so nervous when I take tests. Oh my gosh. So what's going to happen, right? You're gonna create that reality because you're holding that energy in your system. We're trained that our mind, like this is certain what exists, and everybody's having the same experience, but that's not true at all. We can change the picture in our mind and change our experience. So, my picture when I went downtown was all about seeing what this was. And my belief is about creating community and love, right? And it nothing to do with one side or the other, community and love. And so my experience was 100% like that. It was, I was in tears. I really was. It was just an amazing thing. And that could have happened in maybe some other kind of venue too. Do you know? Think about it's just as simple as when we go to an event in a stadium and everybody sings the Star Spangled Banner and you get teary eyed and you feel the emotion. You're in the energy of lots of people feeling patriotic and feeling connection to our country. So people on both sides of this recent election, there are good people on both sides, right? And what happens is polarization comes depending on the focus that we have. So I guess I'm not saying, well, I don't even want to go down that road. All I want to say is the law of attraction allows us to experience something differently than somebody else might. So somebody else who maybe came who didn't appreciate that parade would have had a different experience watching it than I had. And it was all sort of the same thing, but we see, what we're attracted to, where our vibration is. So I don't know if I did a good job on that one, but I really had a lovely day of seeing families, lots of families, and seeing lots of men with their wives and partners and things, supporting them. And that was really nice to see. I don't get to see that a lot, or I don't know if our society sees it a lot. So that was really good. And so there's wonderful things on all parts of this, and I'm not going to ever bring up anything to do with politics ever again. But it was a great experience for me, and I've talked a long time about that. So let me just take a breath, because I can feel some anxiety about this. Not from me. So I'm clairsentient. So I see. I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, all those things. So as people are watching this show, energy's coming. I can feel people's energy. They're not in this room. It doesn't matter where they are, right? I can feel what that is, and there's some anxiety about all of that political stuff that's going on. And what I do know is, with the law of attraction, I think everybody really wants to be happy and have abundance and feel safe, no matter what your political position is. And I guess how I look at it is, for me, getting there is to expand that feeling in myself. And as I expand that feeling of love and joy and safety, then that helps my world be more that way, and also the people who come in contact with me. So I'm trying to do my part there. So the law of attraction, this is how you kind of work on it in the beginning, is, so it's, Esther Hicks has done an incredible job. She channels a collection of energy beings called Abraham. So for those of you who know about that. And so she's got a nice way of teaching it. It's like you hold and this is the important piece, because I teach this all the time, this, So you think about a wonderful memory that you have of something that happened to you in your life that was so incredible that the emotion, like you just can hardly stand it. You feel so good, right? It isn't just the picture of it. I want you to bring the picture in your head, but it's got to be something that you felt that emotion that, oh, I just almost, this is just so incredible. It could be the birth of a child. It could be the best sunset on the last night of the most amazing vacation you ever took, and you just watched it and you just couldn't believe it. It was just so beautiful, and you were just in that moment. So it's just finding something like that in your life that you can feel really good about, that you have a memory with an emotion attached to it. That's really, really good. Lots of people can't even don't even have that, honestly, because maybe they haven't had, their life has been difficult and they can't find a memory like that. But it's about finding one of those memories. And if you have to make one up, then make it up until you get to have some of those. And you just bring that memory and that emotion in as often as you can all day long. And I know it sounds crazy. So you're supposed to hold it. I think Esther says 17 or 18 seconds. I'm just like, hold it as long as you can, 20 seconds. It's just that what you want to do is when you have that memory and you see it or feel it, and you can, even if you have a picture of that time, you can look at that picture. It's the feeling of it in your body. And what that does when you feel that incredible, like, oh, that felt so good feeling, that raises your vibration. It raises your vibration so that your set point is different. And then what you're seeing is different. So the vibration when I went to the parade that I had was a high vibration. I was full of love. And so my attraction then was to see and experience the love of it. If I would have come in feeling really awful and, can't see anything good in the whole wide world, I might not have had the same experience. I might have seen other things on that level that would have had a low vibration and not been happy, right? We have all this control all the time, and you can see it in simple ways, like getting on the freeway and somebody cuts you off and you go, okay, so when you learn about the law of attraction, you know that if you stay in that angry mode, that whole drive is going to be like that. And what it is that you're going to see all the people. So all of a sudden that your radio station just went to, channel 197, and all the angry 197s and all their cars are attracted to you. So your logical mind might say to me, how can that be? But this is a world of energy, and our energy attracts the same energy from other people. So when you're in a really bad mood, right, and you have those experiences that are, it's like you're attracting it, literally. So this doesn't mean, so the next question would be, well, then I'm scared to live. And it isn't like that at all. It's just, we're responsible for that. We can't be perfect all the time, but the more that you recognize as you start down a slippery slope to grab a hold of yourself and pull yourself back up, the easier it will be to stay in a higher and higher and higher vibration. So it's a process all day, every day. Honestly, it's, when you're in a great mood, everything's great and you just feel good, and then all these good things happen, right? This is the law of attraction. So the law of attraction teaches you there are ways to train yourself. So it's like if you see something wrong with something. So take that parade. If when I drove down in my mind, I went, oh my gosh, there's going to be too much traffic. It's really going to be hard. I won't be able to find a place to park. It's probably going to cost a fortune to park. If that's what I did in my head, that is the experience that I would have had. I really would have. And so what I did in my head, and this is intentional, so you guys can practice, do it this afternoon and see how this works. So what I did in my head is when I left the house, I was like, I'm going to have an easy trip in. I'm going to get the killer place to park. And this is just going to be amazing. It's really going to be fun. And I'm going to have a great time. It's just going to be simple. So literally what I did is, and then I'll get to a question here so I don't take the whole time, is I started towards Seattle on there are two ways into Seattle from where I live, two freeways, right? And I started it on one, and just as I did that, I turned the radio on, and all of it, right out of the radio instantly, came the traffic report that said there's a wreck up ahead of me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So there's one exit. I turn off on the exit and turn back. Meanwhile, the radio station goes right into a regular show. Like they weren't reporting anything more about that, right? That moment happened for me. I turned around, I went the other way, zipped across the other bridge, drove right to downtown Seattle, pulled right into the best parking place ever. Everything was like that. So we get to run our lives that way if we choose to. And it's a process of teaching ourselves and catching yourself when you find yourself saying what's wrong with something instead of what's right with something. So what I'm going to do now, because I could go forever on this, is I want to take, I have a list of questions. So I am going to, let me see if I can take if I can pick the question that's an easy one, short one, because I only have 5 minutes till break. Okay, so I have somebody in the other control room with a sweet, quiet voice who says number 3 to me because I don't know the questions. He just picked one for me. So let's take question number 3 and then I'll read it for the people who are just listening. So you guys have to know, this is so much fun to do this actually. I've got a thing in my ear, and somebody in the control room, Shanam is his name. And so he just keeps everything going all the time. I just is quiet. It's almost like a little angel talking to you, like when I receive information, except I recognize that it's him. Okay, so reading glasses for me. So this question is, so this is an email question to me from Greg in Portland. I read books on the law of attraction and want to believe it, but it doesn't seem to work for me. My life is stressful, and all I can do to keep my head above water. I've tried to meditate and I can't stop my mind long enough for anything to happen. What can I do to have less pressure to make it work for me? So I'm going to connect in to Greg. So everybody, these are questions that a lot of you have, I know. So I'm going to answer for Greg, but I'm going to talk to all of you too. So, I want to believe it, but it doesn't seem to work for me, right? So, yeah. So this is hard. So Greg, and men particularly, and this is not a sexist at all, but men particularly have, sometimes don't slide as easily into believing things that aren't taught in school and absolutely practical. Like male energy men are trained to be problem solvers, right? So sometimes it can be more difficult for men to actually believe that it really can be, that this really does work, right? It's almost like, oh, it's okay for my wife to do that, but not so much for me. So there's some energy about this. So Greg, I can feel energy when I'm connected into you. There's, about survival. It's about creating money. It's about, I see like a gerbil on a treadmill. It's like I'm running as fast as I'm working as hard as I can. So there's a lot of pressure on you financially, it feels like to me right now. And so when I get quiet like this, everybody, I'm connecting in to Greg's energy. So I just sort of kind of dull the outside senses down so that I'm connected in to him so I can see what's in place here in his life. Yeah, so the piece about I want to make change, but I don't really, the part that doesn't believe in it. So he's involved. So Greg, you're involved in an environment where there's not a lot of support for this way of thinking. And it isn't like you were raised in a home where, let's do yoga and sit in the lotus position. Not at all, right? And so this sort of, you're having to kind of go against some basic instinct that you have here, it feels like to me. And also that you feel like you're not going to be supported in this. Yeah. So it's like you have to really want to give it a go. And so you have to fake it till you make it, right? It's like fake it till you make it, fake it till you make it. this has to do with, I know it sounds crazy. So think about business. So I was in business all my life, and all this kind of stuff I did all the time and never knew what it was because I was operating in a world of energy. So it's literally, if you think about when you're in business and you want to create something, you just pretend like you already have it. You create, if you're going to go sell something to somebody, or if you've got a project and you want it to really work, then if you go in and you say to yourself, oh my gosh, there's all these problems. I don't think this is ever going to work. Oh my gosh, you're going to have that environment. But you know that when you want things to come together, so this is going to help you in your business life. When you want things to be easy, it's to relax and just imagine before you go in to make that sale, or when you have to go service an account, or when you're meeting with a really important client, you imagine in your mind, like, this is awesome what I have for this person, right? This is all together. We're so good, right? When you have that feeling and you walk in, you're going to have that kind of result. But if you walk in thinking it's not going to work, there are going to be problems, you're like feeling underwater. Those are your words, feeling like underwater, I think you said. And it's like, that's going to be the experience, is you're going to be paddling to catch up. So they show me that, like you, literally in the water, trying to stay afloat. So this piece about the law of attraction, if you can start to incorporate in your life, this will make a huge difference in your work life, not just in your life. Okay. So let me just ask them the easiest thing for you to do. Think about it like it's like you're learning like this is a business skill that you're learning, not like it's woo-woo that we don't really know about, right? Think about it like you just took a job and they said, okay, we're learning calculus and here's how you do that, and you go learn how. There's no difference. There's honestly no difference in teaching yourself, practicing the law of attraction, raising your vibration up to have different experiences. So when let me see what else you can do. So here's how I learned how to go inside. I could never, the meditating thing you just said. I couldn't do it. I was just like, oh my gosh, they'd tell me to count and do this and do that, and I'd just be worried I wasn't doing it right. I could never do it. And how I finally learned how, because meditation, you've got to learn how to go inside and quiet your mind. That's what meditation is all about. Some people can do that when they're running. They're long distance runners and they go into that zone. It's a zone, just like in sports. So there's a piece of you that understands that. So when you're in the zone in sports, time goes by, boom, and you didn't even know it, then there you are. That was a zone. That's what meditation does. So it doesn't matter which method you use to get there, but what I did is I learned how to do it by listening to myself breathe. Sounds crazy, but literally it's like you breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth. So that sound, that's how I learned how to meditate, because what I did is I listened. I was like, oh, listen to my breath. That's weird. And you don't go, you go, and I would listen to it. And then I would go, okay, let's make it slower and slower. So then I would just, as I slowed it down, I was almost like when you're trying to shift a car, or, you're learning how to, so you can do this in sports. I know you've learned how to do things like this, right? So you do the same thing with your breath. And as you do that, you forget to think about anything other than that focus. And at that moment is when you start to go into that place. So I'm being told that you can do that when you look at it differently. Yeah. Is there anything else? There is support for you. So there's somebody at work. This is weird. There is support for you. There's somebody at work. Feels like he has dark hair, kind of like a crew cut. It's weird. Kind of pale skin. It's a man. Here's somebody who actually is on this path. Do you know him? I don't know if you know him, but you'll understand the description. He doesn't look like anybody who would know anything about the law of attraction. He's kind of a quiet guy. Connect up with him because he'll help you with this. There are always people for all of us. always, so all my hair in my body is standing on end right now. There are always people for us who are there, who will help us. And there's a part about kind of being, for you, not wanting to look like you're a woo-woo guy, or kind of being embarrassed a little bit about talking to anybody about that. You won't, now that you've listened to me today with this, you'll be able to make that connection. He'll make that connection. It'll just be casual, and you'll discover he's going to help you with this, actually. So that's awesome. Oh my gosh, cool, Greg. I love to hear from men, so thank you for that. It's time for us to take a quick break right now, and I'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Hi everyone, welcome to Share Wisdom Network at sharewisdom.tv. I'm Cher Safran, and we are so excited because in December we completed our soft launch for the network. Thanks to the thousands of you who found us, have been watching us, following us, and supporting us in these last few months. We are super excited to say that we are now officially launching sharewisdom.tv. We can't think of a better way to celebrate this official launch than to include new hosts and new shows to our network. And our first new host is Krista Gibson. She is the founder of New Spirit Journal, and her new show is called Keeping It Real, airing every Monday at noon Pacific with a mix of interviews, reviews, mini classes, and surprises. It will be as if New Spirit Journal became 3D. So stay tuned for all the other new hosts and shows joining us in the next few weeks. And thanks so much for continuing to watch our current shows, including
I'm Marianne Marlowe.
Every other Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific, join relationship specialist and psychotherapist Marianne Marlowe on her show Conscious Conversations as she explores the world of emotional and holistic healing with guest experts in their field.
I'm your host, Mary Lee McRoberts, and I'm so glad that you came to join me today.
Every Wednesday at noon Pacific, you can join psychic medium and energy healer Mary Lee McRoberts on her show Clear Direction as she takes your calls for psychic guidance and teaches us how to tap into our own inner wisdom. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific, join me, Cher Safran, on a deeper journey when I explore energy, creativity, and possibility through the lives and work of people of wisdom. My guests include Tama Keeves, a popular guest on network and radio shows and a faculty member of the Omega Institute, is an honors graduate of Harvard Law School who left her prestigious law practice to help others discover and soar in their life's work. She's the author of Inspired and Unstoppable, Wildly Succeeding in Your Life's Work, and A Year Without Fear, 365 Days of Magnificence. Joan Borisenko, a world-renowned expert in the mind-body connection, whose work has been foundational in recognizing the role of meaning and the spiritual dimensions of life as an integral part of health and healing, and is the author of the groundbreaking book, Minding the Body, Mending the Mind, and her recent and very timely book, It's Not the End of the World. Barbara Jaffe, honored as Outstanding Woman of the Year and Distinguished Teacher of the Year by El Camino College, California, and a fellow at UCLA's Department of Education. She guides others in finding their writers' voices through writing nonfiction. She shares her own deeper journey from her memoir, When Will I Be Good Enough? A Replacement Child's Journey to Healing. So many wise and wonderful people are joining the Share Wisdom Network, and you can too. Join us.
So I was just watching all the shows that are coming up. My gosh, incredible people are. That was probably, I hope you didn't like take your bathroom break right then, because there are amazing people who are going to be on this, our TV station coming up. It's incredible. I'm just privileged to be in their company. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have a question from somebody who couldn't be on the show today. And this is Rosemary. So I get these questions when you do. This is somebody who emailed a question, right? Okay. This is Rosemary in Washington. So she didn't tell us where she's from in Washington. She's shy. I really want change in my life. I don't like my job, but I am compensated really well, so it's not an option to leave. My husband is controlling and gets angry if things don't go his way. I gave up years ago trying to change that. It's not worth the fight, and even if I stand up for what I want, everything goes back to the way it was before. I've read about the law of attraction and wonder what's wrong with me that I have attracted these situations. Oh, Rosemary. So you didn't. So here's a big piece. That's a really, it's a really good question, and thank you for reaching out because it feels like this wasn't easy for you to do, actually, and that whole piece of feeling like you've attracted, like people think that they've done something to deserve things and that they're attracting. And I really want for everybody to listen to this piece, and then I'll talk individually to you, Rosemary. But that's that part, that's that little piece that sometimes people get caught up with in the law of attraction. Like, if bad things are happening to me, then I must deserve it. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Right? And there's like, I want you not to point that arrow at yourself. We have experiences in our lives, in our upbringing, and that we all do. Not very many people have a magical upbringing. They're all different kind of things that happen to people, and through that's where our belief systems come, and our wounds come, all those kind of things. And so that experience then determines who and what we choose to do in our life. So it's not like you just went out, Rosemary, and said, I'm just going to go be miserable. It's you have experiences that set you up for what's happening right now. I'm really grateful that you sent me this email. So I'm just going to connect in a little bit more to your energy. Okay. So there's a huge feeling there's a huge belief system that you're trapped, and so a part of when I'm connected with you, I'm like I'm talking to your cells and everything. It's kind of crazy, but literally, yeah, okay. Whew. Okay, so let me just tell you a little bit more about this. So when I'm connected into your energy, Rosemary, this has to do with you do feel trapped and that there aren't options, and that you're fortunate um, to have what you have. And in your upbringing experience, there weren't options. You experienced with your parents something that where the empowerment, your mother wasn't empowered in the situation that she had with your dad. So that feeling that you're lucky for what you have, you should appreciate it, and we really don't deserve, who are you to think that you should deserve to have something better? You're lucky for what you got. Do you know what I'm saying? There's an energy about all that you experienced when you grew up. And so that uh, belief system that you're trapped and have to put up with it is something you watched happen. And you took that on as though it's fact because it was real for you. But if you'd been raised totally differently, then that wouldn't be real. That wouldn't be a fact for you. That was an experience that came from your parents because that was their wounds and their belief systems, right? This is a hard one. So the piece about you can't leave your job, that's huge because that's all about fear. And if I just keep the money, then that's going to keep me safe. But it honestly isn't keeping you safe. So, so you, so what I was talking about before about changing your vibration. You can do this. And in doing that, that's going to change the vibration of what's around you. So I know there's a part of you saying there's nothing I can do. Like anytime I have to pick my battles. And then when I go to battle, it's not worth it and nothing ever changes anyway. Right. But that part, it's almost like you have to kind of create a separate life a little bit. And I think it feels like you have anyway, Um, but this is to get yourself involved and go take classes, get away from this, get into the world. I mean, classes like about energy and developing yourself, and because you have a good connection, I can feel that. And so they're showing me that like the wall around you is real, but it isn't. Um, it's been created because of the belief systems that you have in your that like that you don't have the power, that you're trapped with him, you're trapped in your work. And it's about stepping, that's all fear. So go into that place when you think about like there's not even any place where you would even think about leaving your job. But I'm not saying walk away from your job and not have anything. You can create something that will give you that much money or more money, and be full of joy and be what you really want to do if you believe that that's possible. This peace, they keep taking me back to the peace that you should be grateful for what you have. You have more than most people, and that's just the way it is, right? There's a Oh, it isn't like that. That's not the way it is. This isn't how I should be talking to you, but so that's your reality, right? So when I was talking a while ago about when I was at that parade, my reality was love and connection and family, because that was the vibration that I was in. You, in working to change your vibration, there's a part of you that doesn't believe, honestly, that it can ever be any different. You can go back. When I connect in, it's like then you make a circle and you go back. Okay, so it's one step at a time. So they're showing me, like I get to see pictures sometimes. So they're showing me like one step at a time, like a foot that went out. It wasn't even a female foot, which is interesting, but it's one step at a time. I see a shoe go out, and then the other one lifts up and it's one. So it isn't like you're going to go really fast. It's one step at a time, and every step that you take will bring you forward. The change is exponential, meaning one small step can make a huge difference. So that piece about being afraid about leaving your job, what you do is more valued than I think you realize. There's a part of what happens at home that's what am I saying? I can't say the right word. It's sometimes my words when I'm doing this, it's like that takes your power away, right? Like your power's being taken away at home, and so when you're at work, you create you attract the same kind of circumstances, right? So the people who are around you aren't the people who are necessarily empowering you, because the energy that you're carrying with you is the energy of being talked over, not treated necessarily really well. So this is about finding something at work, finding things at work that you really love, because it feels to me like you like some part of this. Maybe not the place, but what you do. Like I think you feel like you're really good at what you do. So this is about finding things at work that feel good to you, and you're like, oh my gosh, so you can. This person is really great. I really like that my offices have windows that look out. It's really nice that I can leave at lunchtime and go walk outside. There are things. It's like find the things that you like and focus on those. When you do that, you will allow yourself to start to see more of that and less of the other, and then the other will start to disappear. So it would be, one of the wonderful things. This is one of the wonderful things is that my company gives money. They donate money for community projects, and I really like that they do that. Another piece might be that, some of the workers got together and raised money for somebody who had an accident. Whatever it is, if the company itself you can't find that giving, you'll be able to find things at work that are really supportive. And it's about focus on that supportive bring things to your desk that look and feel good to you. A beautiful picture of when you were on a vacation, things that when you look at, it's like we have to create an environment around ourselves to support us as we step into this shifting of our vibration. And as you change your vibration, your world will change. So just like you were born perfect, right? Absolutely perfect. And these, your early life experiences is what develop that vibrational belief system that you have, and you can change that. We all can change it. It was changed in you because you didn't start out that way, and you can gradually change it back to something that's in balance and full of love, right? You deserve that. So let me see if there's anything else. Yeah. If you stand up, I know what you're saying about your husband is not worth the battle, but part of that is because you feel like nothing's ever going to change, and it never has before, right? And so that's what you're saying, it never has before, so what's the point of doing it? But literally, if you take one step at a time, if at home you start to create a space there that feels good to you, that isn't necessarily something, whether you can get a part of a room to yourself, it's about starting to power yourself up and create joy around you. But it feels to me like, yeah, so there is a separation here. So I can also see that he leaves sometimes. So you do have the ability to, it's like turn that beautiful music on and start to bring your vibration up when he's not around. And the more you do that, and that means in all parts of your life, you actually can do this. It's like you start in one place, in all parts of your life, you can do this a little piece at a time. It's like, it's in my house, wherever I look, I have something that warms my heart, like these flowers behind me. Whoops, the camera's backward, right? Okay, those aren't mine, but I walked in today and they're the most beautiful things. Aren't they incredible? And every time I look at the screen and I see myself there, I see those gorgeous roses and I just let myself feel good. It's allowing yourself to feel good. It's like feeling like you're worth feeling good, because that peace you got from your mom is that you're not, right? And you are. You're worth having joy and being treated really well by everybody. So, oh my goodness. Thank you, Rosemary. I know that was a lot for you to share too. So it's one piece at a time. There's a lot of things for her to do, but you can do that. You can. That's literally that. And correct yourself every time you start to say something that's wrong with something. Like, that doesn't work. That's wrong. That's how that's going to happen. I literally, when I taught myself to do it, I was like, cancel that. I would say, cancel that out loud to the universe, cancel that. And I would change the words I used to something that was positive. Instead of, oh no, the traffic's going to be horrible. Stop, cancel that. I'm going to have beautiful traffic today. It's going to be a wonderful drive, right? And once you start to hear the negative talk and start to cancel it, you'll start to notice it more. It's a process. It's really cool when that starts to happen. Okay, so I'm going to take one more question, right? We have time for another question. So this is number 2, right? I'm a student. Oh, yeah, we have a young person. I'm a student and living at home until I finish college. My parents fight a lot and put me in the middle. They want me to take sides and I'm sick of it, so I stay away from home as much as I can. I've asked my mom why she doesn't divorce my dad, but she doesn't have an answer. I'm not in a relationship because I'm afraid it will end up like my parents. How can I have a life different from them? Shanna, and Bothell. Oh my goodness. Well, so there's an example. Bless your heart too. I love when young people contact me. I have lots of kids and younger people for clients, actually. It's so incredible. So, this is the world of energy, right? So when your parents think that, their own fear is holding them together, fear of the future, fear of what will happen to them, all their own issues. And parents sometimes, we all do this, right? stay together because they're afraid of what's going to happen, and they don't realize sometimes the damage that they can be doing to their children. And of course, nobody wants to. I mean, there's no parent who wants to damage their children. But even if there wasn't fighting like this at home, even if everybody was polite, but the same, the parents didn't weren't in a loving and in a committed relationship in some way, the kids pick all that up. They feel the energy of it, even if nobody says a word. I get people so many times when the kids grow up and then they'll come back to the parents years later and say, why? Like, this is nice that you're talking to me about why now. It's tough to be in that environment, and I don't blame you for being away from it as much as you can. And the difficult part for this is that you're afraid to be in a relationship because you don't want the same thing to happen. So when I was talking to that person earlier, this is that same thing, right? What you've experienced is anger, and this push-pull thing is really difficult, because they literally, it feels to me like they want you to choose all the time. They want you to choose. And it feels to me like both of them are doing that. And I also, it feels like there's some fear on your mom's part. She's really afraid, and also feels really stuck, but she's got some fear around ever being on her own. So let me give you some tools. This is the same kind of thing. So it's a different question than the law of attraction, but literally you're asking me, am I going to do the same thing that they did? I don't want that to happen, right? So that's the first big step, right? Is recognizing it. So many people don't. They just grow up and then they go out and they repeat the pattern, and they don't see it until they're like miserable later. I give you so much credit for content, reaching out now and saying, I don't want to do this, right? And you're asking me, how can I have something different if this is all I know? And you can. So this is about creating. So you're in school, which means you've got classes and you've got other kids, you've got people to be around. And it feels like you're in a, financial situation now where you need to be at home. But if this doesn't mean choosing who you love the most, and observing your mother being trapped and in that fear is hard to see. Feels like you've got some resentment about it all, about having to be in that environment. So let me see how you can get out of it. Be really important for you to be able to get out of it and start to create on your own. I think that there's a way to do that, actually. I think it feels to me like so when I look at that, it feels to me like your parents are kind of keeping you at home because that gives them some focus. That's what they're used to, right? Is they can use you as the pawn. And so I don't like any part of that. I really feel so it's almost like you're the, oh, okay. So let me say this a different way. That's comfortable for them because that's what they know. And their anger toward each other is what keeps you in the middle of it. It's like you're in the middle of the bullseye. So I see a picture like there's a bullseye and you're right in the middle of it. So you can step out of that bullseye. This is about finding someplace else to live. This is about creating another place to live. And you can. I know it feels right now like that's not an option, but they're emotionally holding on to you, and out of their own business, their own, I don't like it. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I'm sure your parents are fine people, but I don't like what they're doing here with you. So you can. So I can see. So this has to do with a class at school. So at your school, there's some, this has to do with communication with an instructor at one of your classes at school. And this has to do with opening up a little bit, like sharing that you would really love to be out on your own and have some place to live rather than being at home. It's about opening up, and that part of you that doesn't want to share kind of what's going on there, like but I feel like there's help there, and it comes through school because I can see like an instructor, and he feels like a man, and that you in communication. So this requires you opening up and believing that you really can be someplace else. That there's a way out of this. So that peace that we take on, that things can't change, and I'm sort of at the end of it, and this is the way it is. There's a part of you, because you wouldn't have reached out to me. Your soul knows that it's important for you to get out of the situation that you're in now, and you can create something else. And it might be, you might have to work part-time or whatever that is. And it feels like there's almost a threat, like your parents sort of hold it over you, kind of like, we'll pay for your education, but they're holding on to you right there. And I actually think that if you can start to get something set up where you can live someplace else, I think that they literally will support you in some way in that. You're the one who's going to have to be the adult here, and you can do this. This is awesome. I think you can do this. So it feels good to me, you moving forward that way. So it's about believing that can happen for you to get out of the house and continue school, but live someplace that supports you and get to feel what it feels like not to be in the bullseye in between your parents. So that's awesome. Oh my gosh, not awesome it's happening, but I feel like you're going to be able to do that. So that's Shauna. Shauna, thank you very much for reaching out. You can do this. You can. It's awesome. Okay, so we're like a minute away from the end of the show today. So I just want to say again to everybody so the law of attraction is changing ourselves. And it doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter if it's a picture you're looking at. It's pulling things in that help us feel better. Emotion, like an emotion that feels better. And it doesn't have to have anything to do with what you're doing right now, right? That picture you pull in, we think cause and effect all the time, like, well, I got to see something great in this room I'm in, or I'm driving an old car, and how can I even think about traffic? But it's about finding something to appreciate and focus yourself on that appreciation. That will bring your vibration up. I used to listen to comedy all the time. Comedy is a wonderful way to do that. If you could see your energy go up and down, you'd be like working on it like crazy. I know you can. So what I want to say to everybody today is thank you for your time. I really appreciate that you joined me, and we are going to change. Every single one of us with our personal connection with people can change the world. Every single one of us. So do something kind for somebody, surprise somebody. That's what's so wonderful, is tell somebody how great they look. Thank somebody for what they did. Be nice to the grocery store checker. Smile at somebody in line behind you. That's all that. It raises the energy of those people. When you do that for that person smiles back at you and appreciates you, right? That's the best thing you can do anyway. So I'll see you, I hope, next Wednesday for my next show. Thanks for joining me today.